Hello, everybody. Today, I want to welcome you on our next webinar from the DigiFoF series. And topic of webinar today will be gaps in digital competences of the employees of the factory of the future. As previously, I'm your host, I'm Misiak, and presenter today will be Julia Siderska, PhD, but she will be presenting results of work of the whole team, which you can see on the start screen. So, what are we going to cover today? Here you can see our presenter from Unibial. And before we dive into the topics of our session today, I would like to tell a few words about technical aspects. So we are using GoToMeeting. So if you have any questions, please expand the GoToMeeting tab and use the chat or questions pane to send us your questions. And at the very end of a session, we'll be having Q&A session where all your questions will be answered. So this is what we're going to cover today. I already had a chance to look at the slides and they're very, very interesting. I think you will enjoy much the results of the survey that was performed by Unibial. And now, without further ado, I would like to give floor to Julia, who will present all the materials. So please, floor is yours. We can already see our screen, so everything is fine now. If you could only answer, if you could only open the slides, it would be awesome. Everything looks perfect, so we can continue from agenda.
Good afternoon. Today's webinar aims to present the partial results of the project, the FoF Designer, Digital Design Skills for Factories of the Future, concerning the gaps in digital competencies of the employees of the Factory of the Future. I will start with introducing the methodology of conducted research. Then I will explain the results of assessment of personal digital competencies of the employees of the Factory of the Future, as well as the assessment of the level of competencies from key Factory of the Future areas. I'm going also to discuss the network of the key competency areas of the Factory of the Future employee. I will conclude with the summary, and then I will ask the participants for formulating the questions to be discussed. On behalf of the Białystok University of Technology team, I wish you an interesting webinar. The quantitative research was conducted according to the computer-assisted web interview and paper and pen personal interview. The research tool used for gathering information assumed the form of an electronic or paper survey. Within the survey, the researchers collected data from manufacturing companies in 6 European countries. I mean, in Italy, France, Finland, Poland, Romania, and Germany, with the aim to guide the development of training materials according to industrial needs. The survey was carried out in the period from 14th of April until 27th of May 2019. The questionnaire consisted of 4 different sections: general information, design skills and trainings, designing background, and area of interest and implementations. Today, we will focus on the part concerning design skills and trainings. One of the analyzed issues raised in the survey was the aspect of the most important personal digital competencies of the employee of the factory of the future. Respondents received a list of 12 personal digital competencies that entailed adaptive learning, creativity, critical thinking, complex problem solving, information and data literacy, digital content analysis and creation, digital identity management, data protection, teamwork in a virtual environment, social networking, communication and collaboration based on new digital technologies, and netiquette. Respondents were requested to indicate two perspectives: whether considered competencies currently needed and whether this competency will be needed within the nearest 5 years, indicated 5 most relevant items. Based on the gathered data, a network that illustrates both assessments was prepared. One node was ascribed to a single competency. The size of the node reflected the number of respondents' indications connected with the current need for possessing a given competency. The percentage of indications characterizing each competency was provided together with its name in the node's label. If a respondent considered a given pair of competencies as currently needed, there appeared a connection between competencies in the indicated pair. The more respondents pointed to a given pair, the stronger and the clearer was the connection in the visualization. The node was as well provided with color marking that reflected respondents' opinions within the need for possessing a given competency in the period of the forthcoming 5 years. There are 3 divisions connected with the frequency of indications towards a given competency as needed in the future. The larger the percentage of respondents indicating a competency as needed in the close future, the darker is its color. It can be observed that the competencies indicated by respondents the most frequently, over 70% of indications, appeared the following: data protection, critical thinking, complex problem solving, adaptive learning, and creativity. These were at the same time the most closely interrelated competencies. This means that, according to respondents, these competencies create the most desired set at present. What is interesting, at the same time, they obtained the lowest share of indications in the scope of the need of their possession in the nearest future. The competencies that, according to the survey, will be the most needed within the next 5 years turned out to be 3 types. The first one is digital content analysis and creation, mostly connected with the entire set of competencies that are currently the most needed. Another, digital identity management, currently indicated only in connection with data protection. Both the enumerated competencies received at the same time the lowest score in the context of the current need for their possession in the entire set. The third competency to be needed in the future was teamwork in a virtual environment. Another aspect raised in the survey was the issue of the level of competencies from key factor of the future areas in enterprises represented by the respondents. The survey again received a set of key competency areas for a factor of the future employee. It entailed 13 areas: IT infrastructure management, data processing and analytics, data security, cybersecurity, computer programming, coding, Internet of Things and cyber physical systems, automation, robotics, additive manufacturing, for example, 3D printing, cloud technologies and big data, product simulation, process design and simulation, service design and engineering, and knowledge management. The assessment involved both the relevance level for the company with regard to competencies in a given key area, as well as the current level of competencies in a given area among an enterprise's employees. The first assessment concerning the relevance level was made on a scale from 1 to 5, where these values mean respectively: 1 means no relevance, 2 low relevance, 3 medium relevance, 4 high relevance, and 5 very high relevance. The second assessment, in turn, that referred to the current level, required the selection of one of the values from 1 to 5, where these values mean respectively: 1 no competencies, 2 low competencies, 3 medium competencies, 4 high competencies, and 5 excellent competencies of the employees of the company in the key fields of the factor of the future. The effect of the analysis was an assessment of these two aspects presented in a form of a network of key competency areas of a factor of the future employee. The node of the resulting network was a single area with a size depending on the percentage of respondents' indications that point to a high or excellent level of the current level of competency in the area. This means that the more respondents point to possessing competencies in a given area at a high or excellent level, the bigger the node representing a given area. In turn, connections between a given pair of areas suggest that they were indicated as relevant for an enterprise at a very high level by the same respondent. The larger the number of respondents indicating the same pairs of areas, the stronger and clearer the connection between them in the visualization. The visualization as well incorporated color markings that correspond with the assessment of the relevance level of a given competency area in an enterprise. The larger the percentage of respondents who assessed a given area as highly or very highly relevant for the enterprise, the darker the node representing the area in the network. It can be observed that the most relevant competency area in the opinions of respondents are competencies within data security, cybersecurity, over 80% of indications at a high or very high level. Next, the relevant ones were considered: IT infrastructure management, automation, process design and simulation, data processing and analytics. Each of the 4 enumerated areas was most often connected with the area of data security and cybersecurity. Still, the areas characterized by a current high or excellent competency level were 3 out of those above mentioned: data security, cybersecurity, IT infrastructure management, and automation, indicated as such by over 50% of respondents. The most interesting competency areas are those characterized by low current competency level and the simultaneous high relevance of a competency in a given area for an enterprise. These are the smallest, but at the same time the darkest nodes. In case of most areas, the current competency level grew together with the assessment of relevance with regard to a given competency area, which means that enterprises mostly care about the development of competencies in areas considered as relevant. However, the area that requires more attention is mostly a competency area within robotics. It was considered as relevant at a high or a very high level by 50 to 65% of the surveyed, whereas the current competency level in this area was considered as high or very high by merely 20 to 30% of respondents. Another area that should be mentioned is cloud technologies and big data, which were as well indicated as relevant at a high or very high level by 50 to 65% of the surveyed, where the current competency level in this area was considered as high or very high by 30 to 40% of respondents. These areas constitute competency gaps that should be filled by means of choosing proper employee trainings. Among areas considered by the respondents as the most relevant, the following: data processing and analysis and analytics, process design and simulation, also can be identified as minor potential competency gaps, since the level of current competencies in these areas were considered as high or very high according to 40 to 50% of the respondents. As the results of the research, all the results are presented in the report on needs and demands for a factor of the future design, findings and recommendations, and are available on the project website. Please visit Factor of the Future website for more information, and YouTube for more webinars recordings. Thank you for your attention. And are there any questions concerning presented results?
I have a question regarding processes. You mentioned robotics. You mentioned several aspects of different competences that are important for the factor of the future. If you could expand a little bit about the importance of process design and process design and improvement in this. So it was obviously not as popular as robotics. But what would it mean in practice for our trainings? If you could expand a little bit regarding how many people found this relevant, and what do you think it would mean for our next activities?
Okay, hi, it's Alicia Gudanowska.
So design simulation, I think
part of the team.
Shown on slide 16, I think.
You mean the second net?
Yes, the second net, slide 16. Mm-hmm. So we have process design and simulation, which is a big gray bubble.
Yes, process design and simulation. And in this case, in this part of the survey, we asked the entrepreneurs about the level of competences from their perspective, yes? And also we asked them, are they relevant for the company or no? So we should look at this visualization from this perspective. So in their opinion, this area is relevant because I don't remember right now the particular number. I will check. It will be 40 to 50% indications of respondents suggesting high or excellent competencies in this field. Yes, and at the same time, they also gave us the information that this is the area where they I need to find myself in my notes, sorry. Okay, so they decided that this is the area where which is important for them, and they have some competences in this area. So from the perspective of our survey, this is the area where we can try to educate people and try to educate staff from the companies, but those particular companies that were part of the survey, they already have some level of the competences in this area. So we probably should think in the context of process design and simulation about more advanced courses, not the basics, yes, because they have already some competences in this area.
Thank you very, very much. I'm looking at chat and I do not see any further questions. So if you have them, it is a good time to put them in the chat window. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. I don't see any more questions. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for your interesting webinar. And of course, thanks to all participants for being with us, and see you on our next webinars. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.